And now for the reason why you are all here. Let's get this party started, shall we? And kick off our day with our amazing keynote speaker, Sekou Andrews. Sekou. Andrews is one of the most successful spoken word poets in the world. On any given day, this artist can be found keynoting at Fortune 500 companies, inspiring thousands at a concert, or performing for somebody named Barack Obama in Oprah's backyard. Sekou has dedicated his career to pioneering mainstream industry for spoken word. He has built a 7-figure company on poetry, has had his work featured on dozens of major TV networks, has innovated a new category of public speaking called poetic voice, and has garnered prestigious awards in advertising, theater, business, poetry, and music, including a Grammy nomination for Best Spoken Word Album. Sekou's vanguard career is driven by his mission to not only inspire the world, but to teach people how to be inspiring themselves. Sekou, come on up.
Talk to me, girl.
It's morning time, but it's still Friday. Can we just, give me some energy, something, All right. This is what I'm talking about. So, here's the truth. If we were to peel away our layers of flesh and bone, if we could lift up our blood cells, move aside our tissue, and dig deeper than our neurons, what we would find us all to be at our core is vibration. Percussive particles that vibrate themselves into molecules ricocheting into atoms, into everything that matters, is all that matters. It's what matter be, electrons that power our living batteries, for we are windmill-shaped lungs that turbine breath with each rise of our chest. We are electromagnetic ripples giving spark to objects. We are never bodies at rest. We are poetry in motion. We are fists of heart pulsing bodies, 60% ocean crashing against the dam of our skin until our waves and currents have made enough current to generate power that's true to people, to empower you, the people, giving power to the people by finding power through the people. So today, we finna talk power. Is that all right with y'all? All right. Now, here, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I decided to use the metaphor of power in this poetry of diversity and equity and inclusion because when you look up the word power as it relates to physics, some of the first words that come up are like traction, torque, friction, force, burn, collision, even detonation. Detonation. These are not warm and fuzzy words. And likewise, this is not a warm and fuzzy topic. Most folks don't hear the word diversity and think, fun. Let's get into that. Let's do it, Most people's reaction falls somewhere between, okay, here we go, and oh God, here we go. Because DEI, we got to be real with each other at the start of this, okay? DEI is exhausting. It is. Honestly, not even the full acronym is exhausting. We barely even make it to the EI part, equity and inclusion, because we just get burnt out tackling the letter D, the first letter, right? Diversity is exhausting. I'm going to be real. It is exhausting for the person who is constantly trying to figure out how to not offend someone. I promise you, somewhere right now, there is a black person, somewhere out there, clumsily stumbling around the pronouns and gender terms of their colleague. So do you prefer agender, a cisgender, genderqueer, non-binary, gender neutral, gender fluid? Am I even allowed to talk about your gender fluids at the workplace, right? And the non-conforming person is asking the person in the wheelchair, do you prefer handicapped, disabled, differently abled? And that person's like, since we're asking questions, what exactly is the right way to use Latino versus Latina versus Latinx? Or is it Latinx? And the Latinx is it still okay to say little person? And the person of short stature is is it millennials or Gen Z or Gen X or Gen Y? Are there so many letters? And the LGBTQIA plus person is like, what's wrong with letters? And the Asian American Pacific Islander Native Hawaiian person is like, what's wrong with words? And the young person is like, yo, what's wrong with just calling them old, bro? I mean, they're not all mature. Some are just old, bro. And the tenured person is tiptoeing cautiously around that first black person like, okay, I know it's not Negro anymore. I know that. But is it black or brown-skinned or melanin or African-American? And what's the difference between that and Afro-American? And isn't person of color and colored kind of tomato? And why can't I use my monkey emoji with you? And what's wrong with touching your hair? It's so exotic. And will I ever be able to safely make a chocolate reference without getting canceled? Ah! It is exhausting. It is. This is what makes people respond to the complexity with, you know what, I don't even see color. I don't see color. I don't see ability or gender. I'm blind to it. But we know that's not the solution either, right? I don't want you to look past me. I don't want you to look past what makes me different. I want you to see my culture. I want you to acknowledge my sexual preference. I want you to include my faith. I want you to celebrate the solution that I came up with because of how I think as a veteran. I want the best practice that I developed because I am a parent, the perspective that only I saw because of my rural upbringing, and to recognize that DEI is exhausting also for all of those people as well. It's exhausting for the person on the other side of all of that. The person trying to shrug off all of the weekly and daily and hourly micro-offenses, or wondering what she meant by that statement, or, was that said or done because I'm an immigrant, or because I'm an introvert, because I'm tatted up, or because I'm trans, or because I'm currently conservative, or because I'm previously incarcerated, because I'm a parent, or because I'm not a parent. And so if it was done because of that, then I'm sorry, let me soften up that part of me for you. I don't want any problems, so I'll just tuck in that part of me for you. I need my job, so I'll just cover that up. I'll sterilize this. I'll code switch those. I'll quiet all that down. We got to quiet that down. It's exhausting trying to fit in all the time and trying not to be so us. So by the time we're off work, we get to take work off. We get to take off our suits and ties, our dark truths and white lies, and just be ourselves. And we might speak differently, and we might interact differently, and we might have a whole different energy, And all of us, every single person in this room experiences that, our off-work self versus our on-work self. But the further away your real self is from the self that you have to be to fit into a particular culture, at work or an organization or a community, the more exhausting it is to hold that costume up all day long. That's why it is often so much easier to just decide that things would be so much easier without DEI. But easier is not always better. We know that. You know that. You're here because you want to make the world better, not just easier. To make your organization better, to make your community better. So how then does DEI empower that betterment? Well, I say the first way that we can find power through the people is by harnessing the power of perspective. That's the initial secret sauce of DEI, right? And there are many. There are lots of arguments for DEI. For some of you, it's that DEI makes you a better, more empathetic and connected human being and organization. For some of you, that's a little too kumbaya. I get it, right? So for y'all, let's go with money. Gender diverse organizations are 15% more likely to outperform their peers. Ethnically diverse companies are 35% more likely to do the same. Let's go with productivity. Inclusive teams outperform their peers by 80% in team-based assessments. And the list goes on. Diverse and inclusive companies have stronger cultures, are better at attracting talent, create greater sense of belonging in communities, reduce blind spots and unconscious bias and micro inequities. And the sexiest reason for most organizations is that diversity and inclusion fosters innovation and leaves you better able to handle disruption. Why? One of the main reasons, homogeny.